Hello again. Welcome back into the Woody Hayes Athletic Center for Stock Watch on the Podcast Daily. Your favorite and mine, as we pretend to understand how any of those things work by putting them in the place of real humans and not actual businesses. You understand the concept, right? It's Bill Landis, serving in Birmingham, and I am Austin Ward.
I find it much easier to judge people than money.
Yeah. That's why we all collect sports cards.
That's right.
Yeah. Who we then turn those people into money.
Yeah. That's
Except
right.
for me, because I don't sell them. Because I'm dumb.
That's right. You
Stock down for me.
stock down on Berm not selling cards. So I had a problem because I didn't know, or I didn't feel like there was a lot of stock to put into beating Maryland 43-30, and that you just threw it all in the trash and said, move on. It's not going to be the same next week against Michigan from a motivation standpoint, from a schematic standpoint. I guess what I'm saying is, should we even do this show?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Because
I think we
Dallan
should.
Hayden stock is way up.
I think we should put a different spin on it.
Let's do
Because
it.
usually with this, we've looked back. Let's look ahead. And we can call it buying stock and guys we think are going to play well, buying stock and guys we think might be
I think
important
that's
on
called
Saturday.
the futures.
Futures market.
Futures market. That's right.
Speculating.
So where are we
prospecting.
speculating? We're speculating for like this weekend?
Yeah, there's a football game on Saturday.
Ohio State plays who?
They're playing a ton.
Well, again, I'm going to just say Dallan Hayden.
Yeah,
I think
still the same answer.
he's the first guy that has to be talked about. Not
Like
just
that's 2 weeks in a row. You let him go first and take down.
I'm going to take down. No, I think last week it was Ty Hamilton that I went with first, but that doesn't really matter. What does matter is that this isn't a situation where Dallan Hayden is only getting the opportunities because other guys are hurt, even though he's only getting the opportunity because other guys are hurt.
Sure.
But he's earned it, and on top of that, and he's seen an opportunity to make some hay, and he's doing it in a way that nobody in this building would have expected for him to do when he came here in June. And now you look at him, and he is in a position where he can be putting his name forever in the book of Ohio State, Michigan, if he goes out on Saturday and has the type of game that he had a week ago. And I don't see any reason why he can't. So for me, Dallan Hayden is the first one, and stock. I'm buying some of that for this coming
Buying some Dallan Hayden.
Yeah. Jack Sawyer and the idea of the Jack position. I guess I would combine the two. I asked Jim Knowles about that on Tuesday because in the spring, that's what you do. Do a little bit of that, and that's how you combine the two. In the preseason, or the spring, I think it was, I asked Jim Knowles about how he conceptualized the idea of the Leo Jack position, whatever you want to call it. And he said it's a run game disruptor. It's a position that has had plenty of sack production, but it exists to throw a wrench in the works of teams that, like Michigan, like to have a lot of pullers, a lot of gap schemes, a lot of moving parts, and it just makes the identification process difficult for offensive lines. And I think we will see an expanded use of that position for Jack Sawyer against Michigan. Maybe I'm totally off base,
He's
but
playing
I feel like they've been building toward that. We've not seen it a ton. I think it's been fairly vanilla when we have, but I think that will increase this week.
And he's playing well. He's earned the opportunity to be out there more. And we had questions 2 weeks ago about his sort of tendency to overrun a play or maybe get a little bit too jacked up. And now he's reeling it in and making big plays.
Oh, how did we get out here?
God, it's so great to be able to just move with our minds.
Yeah, here we are. This tells you how seriously Ohio State is taking this week. They're offering some time generously to use the Woody. They're like, no, it's practice time. Get out of here. Spoiler alert, this is being filmed on Tuesday afternoon before practice. Jack Sawyer, you say?
That's right. That is what I said.
Okay, cool. That's a great pick. There's going to be a lot more conversation about Jack Sawyer and the way that he's being used by Ohio State on the podcast later on. Zach Bourne is breaking it down on Buckeye Q. His last 2 weeks and then going forward for buying stock moving forward, I think that's a good pick. I'm going to do the same thing. Josh Proctor has had to be plugged in some situations. Lathan Ransom had that broken thumb on the first play. Josh Proctor goes in. There have been other situations where Ohio State has used him because of some missed tackles, and they're in a good spot right now in terms of their depth. Like Lathan Ransom is a Thorpe Award semifinalist or one of the best defensive backs in the country. Like he's not above being taken out for a couple of plays if there are mistakes, and they have that much faith in Josh Proctor. The last couple of weeks has shown that. He's continued to battle. This year's not gone the way that he wanted. If Ohio State is gearing up and expecting Blake Corum or a power running game, that Michigan's going to try it. It's possible that we've talked about this all year. What are the things that Jim Knowles has cooked up to use the safeties or to put him as maybe an extra linebacker. That exists in this game. I would buy stock in the idea that Josh Proctor is going to have a chance to influence the outcome.
Procstock. I'm going to go special teams, and it's Noah Ruggles, who earlier in the year I thought there were some questions about whether or not he was healthy or whether or not he was just not hitting the ball particularly clean. Saturday at Maryland, he had a couple 40-plus yarders, the 45-yarder that he made when Ohio State was really in a weird position there with about 3 minutes to go in the game. That was clutch. I think that you're going to see a game on Saturday that is going to potentially come down to a field goal or two to really make the difference. Jake Moody, the kicker at Michigan, was the Grozo Award winner a year ago, and Noah Ruggles was a finalist for that award a year ago. I think Noah's going to have to be in a position on Saturday to come up big, and this is not a game you can miss a field goal. So to me, I'm buying stock in Noah Ruggles, doing what he does, which is make field goals when it matters.
It's a pretty serious kicker matchup. A couple of returning Grozo finalists. I forgot about that.
Well, we're deep into it now.
Head showdown.
I don't think anyone should want to be kicking field goals in this game.
No.
But I think you did bring a good point. When you have the opportunity, don't miss. I think that Cade Stover is going to be an absolute dog in this game. I'm putting him on dog watch.
Dog watch.
Are you worried at all that he could be removed from this game from an official game?
Possibly. He seemed quite on edge when he was talking on Tuesday, although I don't know how out of character that is for him. He kind of seems predisposed to that, which I like about him. But I thought he had a pretty good bounce-back game against Maryland with his blocking on the edge there. I can't remember if he had any receptions. He did. He had a couple, right?
Mm-hmm. He had a huge one.
That's
Jake Ballard-esque, almost 2010 Rose Bowl catch.
That's right. I think he does get involved in the pass game this week. I think he has to. But more importantly, it's about his blocking. He, more than anybody, and it wasn't even really about the tight ends last year, he seemed to take to heart more than anyone the "you're not tough, you can't move people" stuff that was coming from Ann Arbor and other places about Ohio State's run game. Mm-hmm. And I think he puts it on full display this week that he's about that life.
He was playing linebacker in that game last year.
He was.
Well, didn't he appear on both sides?
He did.
They only put him in for one snap. Which they probably should have.
A goal line play was his only linebacker.
Such was the state of Ohio State's defense in 2021.
Pop on over here for a week and go in and try and stop the run
on a touchdown.
Yeah, didn't go the way he wanted. It's hard for me to make this future prediction without looking back at the last couple of weeks, and so Emeka Egbuka, I think, doesn't want to talk specifically about. He brought up his legs and his shoulder, so I'm going to assume that neither one of those feel great for him as part of the stuff that he's been dealing with. CJ Stroud brought that up sort of unprompted didn't need to on Saturday, just to illustrate the toughness that Emeka is showing, and that, yes, there have been a couple drops for him in the last month, the same for Julian Fleming, but that there might be reasons for that, and there's also reasons why they're still on the field. Emeka was out on the Monarch machine on Tuesday afternoon with Marvin Harrison.
It's been fixed.
The engine has been fixed and repaired. They didn't make Marvin pay for it. That would be crazy because he's a student athlete.
They don't even have money.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that I asked Emeka about that, and if it was about the drops or this, that, it's because he didn't have to spend as much time in the training room. So that allows him to do some of the things that he wants to do to work out and stay sharp and get the hands activated for practice. Activate those hands. And look, the catch over the shoulder on Saturday at Maryland was huge. And then the one on third down was even better. The throw was a little bit off target. He had to go down and dig it out of the dirt, and he did. So Emeka is still one of the best wide receivers in the country. I don't have a problem saying it. He had a couple blips, sophomore issues. They happen from time to time. He's going to have to be very good on Saturday because Marvin Harrison Jr. cannot do it by himself. So I would buy some stock that Emeka will also factor into the outcome.
All of Emeka's receptions were first downs last week, and 4 of them were on third down.
You guys know that I like to get a little wild in the whole gambling space.
Oh, right? Yeah.
I'm just learning how to gamble, folks.
That's true.
I'm not very good at it, but I don't like to play.
He is aggressive.
I don't like to make small, stupid bets that are irrelevant. If I'm going in, I'm going in.
About that action.
And this week, I'm about that Denzel Burke action.
Ooh, okay.
I think last year's game...
That's more than just the tip there.
Last year's game in Ann Arbor, I believe, was the moment where you saw an incredible freshman year really start to take a swan dive. Some of that was because he was dealing with a shoulder issue then that had him hurt. Some of it was just about finally seeing a team go at him and beat him. And I don't know that his confidence has ever really fully recovered from that. He had a good offseason as far as people around the country knowing who he was and a lot of accolades, and he has not played particularly well most of the season. He's been a little up and down the last few weeks. I think you're seeing a Denzel Burke game this weekend where he makes the difference for Ohio State. I'm not going to do bold predictions about what that means yet. We'll talk about that probably on Friday, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think you're going to see a locked-in, dialed-in Denzel Burke, and by extension, the entire cornerback team. I think you're going to see the cornerback position play a really good game on Saturday. So I'm just going to say the Denzel Burke / corners, I think, are going to be ready.
Always a good idea to invest in the cornerbacks.
That's right.
Hot tip.
The most volatile position on the team this year.
Number 20, number 26. You might want to grab it.
Going to go in, go big, go home.
If Michigan
Seriously, go home.
go home. Okay, so if Michigan can't run the ball, can't win. I think it's like as simple as that.
Right.
And there are any number of guys I think you can pick to be sort of the leader in Ohio State's run defense, but it has to be somehow a guy who was not a Buckeyes finalist.
Ugh. Stock down on the Buckeyes Award.
Yeah.
They've lost all credibility.
Yeah, Tommy Eichenberg has this. I mean, he's been incredible all year. It feels like he's been building to this moment. He was really beating himself up, and when we talked to him on Tuesday about how he didn't play well last year, and he didn't, but really nobody on the defense did.
Right.
So like I wouldn't be too hard on himself, but that he's taking ownership in that I think is a good thing. And this is his kind of game. It's the stuff Jim Knowles builds his defense to stop the run. Tommy Eichenberg is like the chief architect in what I think is the turnaround for this team and being as good as it is defending the run. So he needs to have a big game on Saturday for Ohio State to be successful and to win, and I think he will. I think you're looking at a 15 to 20 tackle game for Tommy Eichenberg.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck for Ohio State, and Tommy Eichenberg has
none
that are working. So I mean, it really is incredible.
They still seem to be working.
It's really incredible what he's done all year. And again, the Buckeyes people, get out of here. You suck.
Heck, you're very bad at what you do.
You've done a bad job.
Do you even know what linebackers do, bruh?
Apparently not.
Back the line.
Come on, get out of here, Buttkiss. More like Bubkiss.
Yep.
Like butt kiss.
More like snub kiss.
There it is. Bunch of different suggestions that we can all use, America. I don't know what's going to transpire on Tuesday and Wednesday on the practice field at right guard. I'm going to put a marker out and say that Enoch Lomahi will start for Ohio State. I really like Josh Fryer a lot, and I think that he has a higher ceiling probably in the long run in terms of maybe NFL or awards next season as a starter for Ohio State. But he spent most of this year at tackle. I could very well be wrong on Saturday, and we'll find out by noon then who's going to go out there. Ryan didn't close the door on Matthew Jones being one of those guys, but I don't think that's going to happen based on what I saw on Saturday night. So I think Lomahi has done very well off the bench. I know going back to his recruitment that people in this building thought that he had an NFL future in front of him as well. It was a huge deal when they got him to stick through and put off his commitment to go take a Christian mission. LDS mission, sorry. Big deal. And, you see him coming along, needed to probably put on some strength and some weight. That happens. That's not uncommon on an offensive line. They've tapped him a few times, and it's been pretty successful. He was out there to finish the game on Saturday against Maryland. Again, the challenge, we said it a million times, is different on Saturday. But I think Enoch Lomahi can step up and meet it, and we'll see for sure. But that's going to be critical because what have we talked about for the last 365 days? There's going to be an opportunity where Ohio State has to convert in the red zone or get a 3rd and 1, and they don't want to throw for it. Okay, go move that line of scrimmage. Enoch Lomahi's going to have to be part of that in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. And I also, I'm not going to start another round.
Yeah,
here, but
we don't need to.
I think it is important to mention what we expect out of C.J. Stroud on Saturday because, he is the quarterback for the Ohio State football Buckeyes, and I think that he's a player that ultimately wins or loses this game for Ohio State. If I'm going to put it on one guy,
sure.
He played really well up in Ann Arbor a year ago, and it's sort of been glossed over or wiped away because of how the rest of the game went. But all things considered, the fact that he had been sick all week, the fact that it was 28 degrees and snowing and all the other stuff, he played pretty well. And the offense did enough a year ago to beat Michigan. This year's Michigan team does not have the same defensive firepower and star power that it did then. So I just think that CJ is probably and he's not the guy that's going to talk about it publicly, but I think he's pretty annoyed that people just don't think he's tough, or that they don't think he cares, or that they don't think he's invested in winning. I think you're going to see a guy on Saturday who plays a very fired up game and just ready to come out and put his stake in the ground, not just for this season, not just for the potential Heisman, but as one of Ohio State's all-time best quarterbacks.
Yep, I think we'll talk about that a lot more on Friday. We get back for another version of the Podcast Daily. On Thursday, we're going to have a special guest, Angelique Chingelis, a legend covering the game over the years. So still a couple of those coming your way. Thursday, Friday, won't be in the Woody. We got kicked out of it already today. So we're going to get you ready as much as we can, as best we can for Saturday at noon. Take our gambling stock tips if you want, or leave them. Doesn't matter.
I would leave them.
And if you can find a way to actually invest in these people, let us know how we can do that, because then the show would have a lot more value probably. That's Bill, Berm. I am Austin. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and happy Thanksgiving.